First this morning, we want to take you to some breaking news, and the ABC understands that a dramatic police raid played out in Porepunkah last night amid the search for suspected police killer Dezi Freeman.
There have been no confirmed sightings of the 56-year-old since 2 police officers were shot dead and a third injured on Tuesday. Let's go straight to Leanne Wong in Porepunkah for us this morning. Good morning, Leanne. What do we know about this raid?
Well, there was indeed a major police raid here at Chancellor Court in Porepunkah last night as the manhunt for alleged killer Dezi Freeman continues. Now, in the last hour, I've spoken to a couple neighbours who live on Chancellor Court who have indeed confirmed that police were here last night. We've heard from multiple sources that at least 10 police officers and several dogs came to a property on Chancellor Court before taking several people away. They also used a PA system to broadcast instructions to the occupants of the house, telling them to come out through the front door with their hands in the air. Now, at this stage, police haven't confirmed or commented on whether or not this raid is linked to the ongoing search to Dezi Freeman. But in the last half hour as well, we've just seen the police chopper go up in the air, and that's actually quite early compared to what we've seen in previous days. The chopper tends to come out a bit later in the morning. Police have issued a stark warning to any local residents who may be thinking about helping or harbouring Dezi Freeman, that if they were to do so, that they would face criminal prosecution. And
Leanne, the bush itself provides many hiding places. It's really difficult terrain, and if it's possible, the weather conditions, they're getting even worse. Yeah, I'm not sure if you can tell, but as I just started talking to you, the rain has once again started to come down. These are very difficult conditions for police, and doesn't seem like it's going to be getting any better. Significant snowfall, damaging winds, as well as freezing temperatures have all been forecast for this alpine region. That's on top of already, again, those difficult conditions that they've been battling this whole entire week. We're talking about rugged terrain, like you said, really steep hills. This rain has made the ground saturated and very slippery. Police themselves have conceded that this terrain is so complex, even specialist forces aren't finding it easy to make their way through. Police have also said that they're aware that this cold snap that we're seeing is going to make this area quite attractive to skiers who may want to go to areas like Bright, Mount Hotham and Falls Creek. They've urged any of those travellers to avoid Porepunkah if they can, to take an alternate route. Mount Buffalo National Park itself will remain closed for the foreseeable future. Another big day ahead for authorities. Thank you, Leanne.
Let's stay in Victoria because there's been a big revelation out of the AFL Awards overnight. Star midfielder Bailey Smith received an All-Australian blazer for the first time and used the moment to make a stunning and deeply personal revelation about his struggles with mental health. Our reporter Stephanie Ferrier is across it all and joins us now. Steph, tell us about what happened.
Yeah, so this is an AFL Night of Nights, of course, for the All-Australian team, and for a situation where Bailey Smith is celebrating a stunning high, being named an All-Australian for the first time and also getting the Coaches Association champion player, a joint winner of that, to actually reveal this crushing low that he actually had. Now, this all happened when he tore his ACL back in December 2023, and he says he really struggled a lot with his mental health at the time. It put him through what he calls shocking times, and in the end he voluntarily checked himself in to a psychiatric facility. So he went to the Epworth's mental health clinic in Camberwell in Melbourne's east, and he says he was there for 4 weeks. He only came out 2 hours basically to go to training and was then back in there again. And he said that this was a really difficult time for him, that he really didn't know whether or not he was going to be able to get through it. But obviously and thankfully he was able to overcome this, and this is what he had to say about it.
I sort of just changed my mindset from just like if you have an injury, you've got to rehab it in the gym or whatever. If you have an injury, I suppose, mentally, it's just rehabbing it and sort of keep you on top of that. It's just like, going to the gym for your fitness. I'm going to the gym for, my mental sort of fitness. So a tough period, but I wouldn't change it for the world. It always makes sense in retrospect. So just know, whatever dark period you're going through, one day it'll make sense, I guess.
Yeah, so such great words as well, and some advice for other people out there that might be having these sorts of issues themselves. The fact that he said, and he was quite happy to say, that he still goes to see his psychiatrist voluntarily as well. He's obviously just taking it on board as an injury, as you would for any other injury, any other part of your body. And he says that he wants to be able to normalise mental health so that it makes it a better community for both young men and young women who might be in this situation. But it was great to see the thunderous applause that he received from the rest of the AFL players and community. They've obviously really wrapped their arms around him when it comes to this.
It was a huge moment. Love that from Bailey Smith. Thank you so much, Steph. Now, it's really important to recognise this morning that if you or someone you know is experiencing distress, please contact Lifeline on 13 11 14. Support is also available from Beyond Blue by phone, or the website, as Bailey Smith says. Important to normalise it and just treat it like another injury. Seek help if you need it.
Well, if you are headed out and about this weekend, it might be worth checking the Weather Bureau website before you go, because the final days of winter are set to pack a punch, with severe weather warnings issued for 3 states now. Let's check in on what to expect in South Australia, which is first in the firing line. And Bethany Alderson is in Adelaide for us. And Beth, it's looking pretty wet behind you there.
Yeah, James, it's been pretty awful out here this morning, to be honest. There's been strong winds, heavy rain and even some small hailstones, and South Australians are being urged to prepare for a potentially dangerous weather event today. The Bureau says a blast of cold air will be moving across the state, caused by an intensifying low pressure system, so cold that there's even the slight chance of light snow flurries at the highest peaks of the Mount Lofty Ranges, the mid-north and the southern Flinders Ranges. Since I spoke to you last, the Bureau also issued a warning for very dangerous thunderstorms for regions such as the Barossa, the Adelaide Hills and Gawler. This is the highest level of storm warning and includes a risk of tornadoes. Now, the Bureau has since cancelled that warning, but I guess it just shows you how rapidly the conditions are changing here in South Australia. Meteorologist Miriam Bradbury spoke on News Breakfast just earlier. She says the worst is yet to come. Take a listen.
Is likely to reach the Adelaide area in the next few hours, and then we'll start to push into Victoria a little bit later today. We are going to be continuing to feel the impacts of that front through the rest of today and into tomorrow as well, because as well as those winds, it's going to bring showers, thunderstorms, small hail, and of course, very, very cold air in its wake.
Now, the major concern for authorities today is those damaging and even locally destructive winds. The Bureau says that gusts could reach up to 130 kilometres per hour in some areas of the state today. The State Emergency Service is warning that those extreme winds are capable of uprooting trees and even lifting roofs off of homes. Already this morning, the SES has been incredibly busy responding to fallen trees, and at the moment there's about 6,000 people in South Australia without power. But the SES is urging everyone to remain vigilant. They're asking people to stay away from fallen power lines, to move cars and vehicles away from trees. They say items such as trampolines and furniture should be secured away from the home, and they're saying that people should stay inside and away from windows while these conditions are severe. If we take a look at the map of South Australia, we can see that the severe weather warning from the Bureau is extending across most of the state today. Every district is impacted, from the West Coast and Eyre Peninsula over to the mid-north and the metro area here in Adelaide, then over to the southeast. As we heard from the Bureau just earlier, the wild weather is expected to push over to Victoria later today, but as for here in Adelaide, the conditions are expected to ease from the evening.
All right, Bethany Alderson there in South Australia. Thank you.
The Iranian Ambassador has left Australia, continuing to deny the allegations his country was behind 2 anti-Semitic attacks. Earlier this week, ASIO revealed a spy agency had concluded Iran was behind 2 attacks in Sydney and Melbourne. The ambassador described the allegations as baseless before boarding his flight.
The Queensland Government has offered its nurses and midwives an 11% pay rise over 3 years. It comes after months of negotiations, with the union wanting 13%. The unions involved will now seek an in-principle agreement via a vote from their members.
An open letter has been signed by multiple NT organisations who fear making pepper spray legal will risk escalating violence. From Monday, NT residents over the age of 18 will be able to legally buy the spray from licensed gun shops as part of a 12-month trial. Buyers will also have to sign a declaration they have no relevant criminal history, police or court orders.
The carers of a teenager who died after a stabbing in Sydney's West believe that he was ultimately failed by the systems around him. 2 men were stabbed and a third was assaulted during a confrontation in Mt Druitt on Wednesday night, with police suspecting local street gangs were involved. A 19-year-old who had intellectual disabilities died at the scene.
The best sheepdogs from across the nation are set to put their skills to the test in Western Australia. 200 working sheepdogs and their handlers will take part in the annual championship to determine who is top dog, James. The top 4 teams will head to New Zealand for the Trans-Tasman Championships in October.